What's going on, everybody? Tom Quiet here, live and amplified. I hope you're all having an absolutely amazing Sunday. Today, since we are coming up a few weeks away from the end of 2023, the new year, 2024, I've been seeing a lot of videos popping up about tips and hints and tricks and stuff like that for musicians to have a successful 2024 and like little tricks to help take your career to the next level. And now I've released similar videos of my opinions, but I thought since we've started doing this React series this year, we jump into another person's tips and opinions and stuff of that nature, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that. So let's jump right into it. This is a long video, so we're going to just jump right in. All right, so this is by a guy named Damian Keyes, and he's going to give us his 10 most asked questions.
Instagram, TikTok, but also from the members with inside DK Music Business Academy, where there's around 5,000 or 6,000 members constantly asking questions. And rather than having the usual edited, cut-up, fast-paced video, I'd like to have it so it's more long form, where we can really go into depth with more of a kind of
cool. I'm
raw,
down with this.
unedited approach.
And I'm going to try and pause a little bit here and there to kind of expand on his thoughts on what my opinions are.
Of the most important questions for artists to understand when promoting music and
then what I'll probably do is kind of jump in when he asks questions.
How does an artist get 1,000 pre-saves on Spotify? Pre-saves is a question that crops up all of the time. It's a really interesting one
because I don't really focus on pre-saves on Spotify. So I'm
of a pre-save / a pre-buy, a pre-order, if you like. If you think back 20, 30, 40 years, you would pre-order something so that you would be the first to receive it, and you didn't want it to sell out when you went to the store. The problem now is, because music is so instant and so free, it comes out at a specific point. Let's say it comes out at midnight on a Friday. Now, you wake up in the morning, it is there waiting for you. So the pre-save will say, by the way, just in case you'd forgotten, there is that new song coming out. The issue I have with this is, how many songs, if you're honest with yourself, how many songs have you pre-saved in the last, let's say, 12 months?
Fair.
Now,
very fair. I'm
not saying you haven't pre-saved songs, but I hazard to guess that you haven't pre-saved many. In the same way as if we went back in time, we got in our DeLorean, we went back 20 or 30 years, probably there would be many times where you would be excited to go and get that new single or that new album, so you might pre-order it. So if you're not prepared to pre-save a single, why would anyone else? I don't understand the consumption habits. Now, this question not only crops up from artists, but this crops up in record label meetings all of the time. We need to get 1,000 pre-saves. In my head, I'm like, why? The music is free. The music's coming out. What we've got to do is we've got to make sure that everyone knows about it leading up to it. We've got to make sure that they know about it when it comes out. It would be nice if we want to chart to be able to get people to pre-save, but we are going against human consumption. And what I mean by that is, on the whole,
sorry, I'm kind of waiting for a place to pause.
It's just not a thing that many people do. So you are now really fighting against what humans want to do. All
right, pause right there. Sorry, I was kind of trying to find a point to pause where he wasn't in the middle of a train of thought, but I don't want to get too far away from what he was saying. You know, in some aspects, I 100% get what he's saying, you know, where pre-saving is against human nature. And to me, are pre-saves, other than getting notoriety on charts and stuff like that, are pre-saves really that important? Because if I'm following a musician, I'm already going to get notified when I'm on Spotify that, hey, so-and-so, or we just dropped a podcast this morning with a musician by the name of Mark Taylor, so I'm going to use him for an example here. I'm following him on Spotify, right? And if I'm following him and he releases a new song, I'm going to get notified regardless if I've pre-saved it or not. So, yes, while I understand the aesthetics of having really good pre-save numbers, and I see the upside of, you know, you want the song to chart, and early charts are determined by pre-saves, and I 100% get that. But the reality of the situation is, if you've got a good follower base, pre-saves aren't the end-all be-all of the success of a song. So let's get this rolling.
Just want to say, just remind me when it comes out. Honestly, I'll just press a button and it will be there. It will be free. I will get it. Thank you very much. So therefore, if we do, and I'm not saying you can't pre-save it, but if you do want to pre-save music or get people to pre-save music, we have to think about it in a different way. We have to give more than the free piece of music that they're already going to get from Spotify.
Okay. Keep going.
So now, if we up the ante, if we start thinking about something that's bigger than the song, maybe we can start to barter with people to say, look, I tell you what, I need you to pre-save the song. If you think about it like this, when you want someone to pre-save the song, who does that benefit? It doesn't really benefit the person other than saying you'll get notified when you first go on Spotify that there's a new song coming out. Other than that, it benefits the artist. It benefits the label. It doesn't really benefit the consumer that much because they're not going to shit their pants if they haven't heard that song within the first 2 hours of waking up in the morning on a release day. So therefore, as it benefits the artist, we have to make sure that the leverage goes the other way around. How do we make sure that this benefits the fan / the consumer more than it benefits the artist? Now, if you're giving away something bigger, for example, if you pre-save my single that's coming out in the next 7, 14, 21 days, then there will be a benefit to that. Not just you'll get the song on the day, but I will enter you into a prize raffle where you get to win 2 tickets, or you get to win my old guitar, or you get to be in this music video. You get to do something that is of value more than just the song itself, which, let's face it, I'm going to get. I'm going to get on the day, and I'm going to get it for free. It's not like if I pre-order it, then basically I get a discount.
That's interesting.
Now, that works really if I'm buying something. Hey, pre-order it now, get your tickets, get them a bit discounted. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm going to get the early bird tickets. Well, not with a single. I'm not paying anything. It's just I'm going to go on Spotify or whichever platform, and I'm going to get the music. So therefore, we have to think bigger. So if you want 1,000 people to pre-save your song, then you have to make this worthwhile for 1,000 people. So therefore, if it's a chance to win something or they get something extra, then yeah. I'm a big believer in I will hit the follow button. I will hit the subscribe button. I will even give people my email address. My question is, well, what's in it for me? What do I get? I'll give you my email address. What do I get? Are you going to spam me? No, I'm not going to give you my email address. I'll hit the follow button. Yeah, cool. What do I get tomorrow? What do I get on the next day's piece of content? How does that work for me? Because I'm selfish and I'm the consumer. If you can't answer that question, well, I'm really sorry, but I'm probably not going to hit the follow or the subscribe button. So from that perspective, I possibly would pre-save for you if I'm a fan. Maybe if I'm a super fan, then yeah, maybe I'll hit the pre-save. But if not, then I'm probably not going to. And we're dealing with small, tiny amounts of fractions of super fans in an audience. So therefore, it is up to you to give away or do something that is much bigger than that free song. Can be done 100%. But you've got to think better than just, hey, if you pre-save the song, you're going to get something which is what you're already going to get in the first place, if that makes sense.
Pause right here. It went to black. That's perfect. We're going to pause right here again. Man, this is going to be like a 2-hour video or something, ain't it? But, he's touching on something very interesting. And this is a concept that I've always had a hard time understanding, I guess. That even though, like, social media and getting people to follow, like he brought up, getting follows, likes, and email addresses is a very transactional thing, that there needs to be something in it for them. And it's not just going to be spam this, spam that, spam this, spam that. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to quite understand, because there's got to be something in it for the follower or the consumer or the whatever. And I had, when I first started doing Live and Amplified, when I first started like really diving into social media, I reached out to a guy I knew that was starting his own that he was starting to really gain some traction on social media as a video producer. Like he was really starting to get some legs and whatnot. And I had asked him, I was like, hey, man, we went to college together. We were in school together. And I had asked him, I was like, hey, here's this. What do you think? Will you give me a follow? I'm just trying to build my following or whatever. And he hit me with this exact same question. Well, what's in it for me? What you have to answer before people will start following you, you have to answer that question. Otherwise, yes, you probably have some diehards or some people that will follow you because you're friends, or they'll follow you because, they're not on social media and it doesn't bother them. But for the vast majority of people, they're not going to follow you if they feel like they're just going to get spammed, or they're not going to like your song or give you their email or whatever if they feel like they're going to get spammed. And in the same vein of trying to get back on track of what he was leading into with pre-saving music, if there's nothing in it for them, then what's the benefit? Because I'm already following you as a musician because I like your music. Why am I pre-saving it if I'm already following you? It doesn't matter if I get notified and see the song at 8 a.m. or 12 p.m. It doesn't matter to me, because as long as I hear the song, I don't care. I don't need to be the first one to do it. I just want to hear it. So I think that's a very interesting point of conversation to have. But let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Like, I really want to, since this is going to be a bit of a longer video, I would really like to have dynamic conversations about thoughts on social media and promotion and stuff like that. So as you're kind of watching this video, feel free to leave comments and all that fun stuff, and let's get this video back rolling.
Question 2, how to promote music without using social media?
That's a very interesting
how many
question.
people message me on social media asking me how to promote music without having to do TikTok, without having to do Instagram.
Not possible.
And the answer is, absolutely can. You absolutely
Really?
can
Okay.
promote music. I mean, we've been doing this for decades.
Yeah, fair
50,
enough.
60, 70, 80 years worth of music promotion
Fair enough.
to be able to make sure that people could hear your music without the use of social media, which has only been around for, realistically less than 10 years in the way that we've been doing it. But the issue here is, how do you do something which is so easy and consistent as social media? For example, how can you do something daily? So if I said to you, oh, great, you're going to go on tour. Because if you're going to go and do gigs, if you're going to go on tour and people are going to see you play live and say, wow, this artist is amazing. I'm a big, big fan. I discovered you because you went on tour. Yeah, that's going to work. The problem here is, I can put a piece of social media content out, in 20 minutes or half an hour, maybe an hour, and I could do that 3, 4, 5 times a day should I want to, and I could do that every single day for the next 12 months. And think of it like a boxing match, right? Every single time I put a piece of content out, right, it's not a big swing, it's not a big right hook, it's just one punch thrown. The issue here is, if you are going to be winning a championship, you're not trying to throw a punch. You're trying to set yourself up to be in a 12-round fight, throwing probably 200 punches per round, times by 12 rounds, times by all of the fights that it takes you to win the championship, which might be 10, 20, 30 different fights. So therefore, you're throwing thousands and thousands and thousands of punches and combos. Now, it's the same thing with this. If you say, well, I'm not going to use socials, I'm just going to go and do gigs. No problem. How many gigs are you going to do?
It is
Because if you're
possible.
going to go and do 1 gig a month, 2 gig a month, how can you possibly compete with someone who says, no, but I'm going to be throwing punches every single day via social media? Whether you like it or not makes no difference to me whatsoever. I don't think any artist that I work with is like, oh, please let me post more on TikTok. Can't wait. I love it. On the whole, people aren't that fussed on making content for TikTok. They want to be an artist. The problem here is, it's the easiest method. Now, I know that's not the question, because I'm not supposed to be pushing social media, but if you want to do touring, that is fine, but you have to do more than 1 gig a week. You're going to have to be touring and gigging regularly. Now, there are other things that you can do. For example, collabs. Collabs is an amazing way where the other people will
Hold on.
do
Let's
the
pause it
work.
right here, because I don't want to get too far away from the touring aspect of what he's saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off in mid-sentence there. But I don't want to get too far away from the idea of touring. And, you know, I realized I said it's not possible to promote music without social media. And I kind of said that quickly without even thinking of what I was saying. But he brings up a good point about you can still promote your music, get your music out there by touring, but it's got to be more than once a month, which goes back to back in 2021, no, 2019. Back in 2019, I was doing this thing, this promotional aspect of Live and Amplified. I was promoting like, hey, here's my cell phone number. If you ever need anything, text me, reach out. Let's have an open dialogue. If you need advice on something, you know, yada, yada, feel free to reach out. I'm here. And, you know, it worked really well for what it was. It was like right before the pandemic started taking off. You know, it was like December 2019. And I had this kid email me. I've told this story 100 times already, but I think it's so important. I had this kid email me like, hey, here's what's going on. I'm 18, just turned 18, getting ready to graduate high school. I want to be a musician. This is what I want to do. I love playing music. I love doing all these things. What do I do? How do I get started? You know, how do I start building? And I told him, I was like, look, man, here's what you do. You've got roughly 5-6 months left of school. So I want you to take those 5-6 months, and every day you go to school, you do what you got to do to graduate, right? Because some people that's important, some people it's not. You know, that's not the angle I'm trying to push. Like, it's not up to me to decide whether education's important to you or not. So do whatever you got to do to graduate. But when you're not at school, you need to be working, saving money, making every penny you can make and saving it and putting it away, putting it away, putting it away. Then, when you're not working, you need to be writing music. Whether you're a solo guitarist, piano player, whatever it is, you need to be writing, practicing, recording, whatever it is. And you just need to be so 100% dedicated to that thing. Whether, you know, writing music, recording music, practicing, learning cover songs, whatever it is. And then the day you graduate, you need to hit the road. Hit the freaking road and go. Like, jump in your car, take a bus, do whatever you got to do. Go from town to town, gig to gig, open mic to open mic, and keep going until A, you run out of money, B, you get to where you want to go. Because the advantage you have right now is you're young. You can make mistakes. That is the advantage of being young. You can make a mistake, and if you get stuck in a position, like if you live in, say, I think the kid that I was talking to lived in like New Jersey or something. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, somewhere in that ballpark of the country. And if you hit the road and you get stuck in, I don't know, Idaho or something, like you make it that far out and you're stuck in Idaho, worst case scenario, you sell everything you got, you beg family, friends, colleagues, whatever, to help you get back home, and then you go back to school, or you continue to pursue music, or you continue back on with your education with what you would do if you didn't have music, whatever it is. But at least you can say you tried, you built your following, you're going, you're doing your thing, and if you want to go back home to save up more money to do it again, cool. Like that. You just need to take those chances as a young musician with no responsibilities and no family ties, you know, like personal family ties with like wife, kids, shit like that. And just do it. Like, get out and do it. So let's get this back rolling. Sorry.
For you. Imagine if as a talented artist that you are, you contact someone who is pretty good at social media and say, I'd love to do something with you. I'd love to go in the studio. I'd love to record something. And then maybe we'll do that as I'll be in your videos and then you can post it. Now,
collaborations is key.
The problem here always comes down to leverage. It always comes down to the fact that when you say, I don't want to do socials, and so therefore I'm expecting the consumer to just fit into my narrative, well, I have to be doing something that's worthwhile. So therefore, if I'm going to go in and be in a collab of another artist, are you paying for the studio? Are you writing the song? Are you setting up the whole thing? Or are you saying, I just can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with social media. I can't really be bothered to turn up and do anything. I can't really be bothered to tour, or I can't tour because it's not realistic. Now what you're doing is you're saying, there isn't really another way for me to promote myself. What I'm saying here is, with socials, you can do something every single day. If you can find another way, for example, if you're an incredible writer and you can write press releases and send them out to magazines and blogs and playlist curators and radio supervisors and coordinators, and you can keep doing that every single day, what you're doing is you're still throwing out those punches. You're still doing things that are going to keep you active. Social media is the easiest way of doing it. Your job is to find a way that isn't that hard, that doesn't take its toll, that doesn't fill you with anxiety. But there's loads of things: press, PR, radio, collabs, even advertising. What happens if you said, well, I haven't really got that much time, but I do have money, so therefore I can make a certain amount of promotion via socials, and I can use money to push that in front of the right people. I don't have a problem with that. I think there's this, I personally believe that there's this thing that when you're an artist, everything has to be organic. Bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's never been the case.
I fell into that trap. I've fallen into that trap.
60 years since record labels
100%.
have been pushing music. What happens is they use money and they use their they use their opportunities, they use their experience to be able to get your music in front of the right people. Now, part of that is advertising. Whether it's a Super Bowl, whether it's an advert on TV, whether it's an advert on radio, whether it's an advert on Instagram. My way of thinking is, I want you to get in front of the right person. Now, if someone is sat, let's say they're sat on a bus, or maybe they're sat on the toilet, and they're just scrolling away, and then they scroll up, and there you are. And they start listening to your song, and they go, oh, this is a bit of me. Now, at that moment, they are more likely to say, let me go and have another look around in your Instagram, in your TikTok. Maybe they'll go across to Spotify, possibly. Either way, they are now aware of you. Now, does that need to be organic? No, I don't give a shit whether it's organic. I just want that person to like you and like your music. If I have to put in 1 cent, 2 cents, 3p, whatever the euros are, if I have to put a bit of money into making sure that that person sees you and buys into you so that they start taking the journey into becoming a fan, that's what I care about. So, because those people will still buy. Just because they saw you via an advert rather than seeing you via organic reach, it makes no difference. As long as 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the line, they're listening to you on Spotify, they're coming to a gig, they might potentially buy some merch. They're still in the fan base, they're still in your audience. What we're talking about here is discovery. Now, if you have no money, then social media is the easiest way of getting that discovery without having to put money in. But if you're a label, they might put $1 million into breaking an artist. So they're not saying it has to be organic. They're saying, I'd like to have some organic because that shows the artist is working. But this isn't about being organic. This is about building a brand. And if that means there's going to be radio and press and PR and collabs and blogs and playlists and everything else we can think about, and that's going to cost some money, then so be it. So your job is to make sure that you are getting in front of, discovery-wise, the right audience and those people are buying into you. To me, the easiest way is always going to be social media. Does it have to be? No, you don't have to use socials, but you can't. What you can't do is you can't not do the easiest thing and then make excuses not to do anything else. I think that's the most important thing. What is the best way to monetize an audience? There's so many ways of monetizing an audience right now. This is the best time to monetize an audience, despite what anybody tells you and despite what your brain is telling you right now, whilst everyone's angry at Spotify and everyone's going, oh, it's rubbish, you don't get as much money as you used to, blah, blah, blah.
It is relatively easy because,
time
You got
to
Twitch.
be able to monetize.
You can
your audience.
monetize
In fact,
off
to be
with
able to
AdSense and all
house
that
an
stuff.
audience, find an
YouTube.
audience, house an audience,
Yeah,
look after an
it's
audience, and
relatively easy.
monetize an audience. There are platforms out there that just say, look, I've done all of the heavy lifting for you. You have to decide what it looks like. Now, what I would say here is, because there are so many ways to do this, you get to choose. But what you do have to do is you have to decide what your skill set is and what provides value to the consumer, or more importantly, to your fan, to your audience.
All right,
Now,
pause it right here. Let's pause it right there. You know, it is relatively easy, and when I say relatively easy, it's a lot easier now than it was, say, 10 years ago to monetize your audience, because you know, you have Facebook, they're paying remittance checks for as many, or you know, like for the amount of people that you bring in, or the amount of people that stay on your Facebook channel. You know, they're paying you. They're calling it a remittance check, but it's essentially like an ad revenue share. You know, you got Twitch. They're paying ad revenue shares. They're paying subscriber fees. They're paying. You know, you can just straight up collect donations off of that. So, like, Twitch is a really good platform for that as well. And then you have YouTube, which is probably the biggest. You know, I know you're kind of wondering, well, I'm a musician. What do all these have to do? Like, I mean, on Facebook, you could be posting show video from shows. You could be posting music videos, hype videos. You know, just like think outside the box, like vlogs or Facebook lives, Instagram lives, TikTok lives. You know, whatever it is, man. You could be doing it on all these social medias, and they're doing ad split revenues. And then, of course, you could be doing podcasts. You know, I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen a musician doing a podcast with like crew or promoters, or, you know, like whatever it is, where the musician takes their platform to promote the venue and, you know, talk to the venue owner, or talk to the stagehand, or talk to the sound engineer that's been running music in Bowling Green, Kentucky for 40 years, you know, like whatever it is. You know, that's a really cool idea that I just kind of threw out there. And kind of having that opportunity to use what you're already doing and helping cross promote, you can monetize your audience. And that's not even including what you can get for your music in general. Yeah, I know everybody wants to shit on Spotify for their profit sharing and all that stuff. But the gist of it is, they're not doing anything different than YouTube does, or what Facebook does, or, you know, whatever. It takes a lot of views to make money, and you have to figure out how to get those views. So yeah. Anyways, let's jump back into it.
What most people do when it comes to merch, I say most people, most artists do, is they'll say, well, I think I'll do some merch, because merch is important and I can make some money at it. So what they'll do is they'll go and order some Fruit of the Loom
Merch
t-shirts.
is so hard, though.
Just put their logos emblazoned across the front, and it'll be black with the logo across it, and be like, yeah, you go, there's a t-shirt. Now, I might love your music. I might love you as an artist. What happens if I don't want a t-shirt? What happens if I look at your t-shirt and go, music's great, and you're great, your t-shirt's shit? I'm not going to buy it. I'm not buying it for you. I'm buying it for me. I'm selfish, like everyone else in the world. So therefore, if I'm thinking about merch, the question is, are you good at merch? Are you good at building a brand? No. Are you good at designing the color schemes, the brands, what you're going to sell? Are you going to be that sort of artist? Because if not, don't do it for the sake of it. Because all you're doing now is you're splitting your time. You don't have a time management problem. You have a priority management problem then. You're trying to do all of the different things. You can't fit everything in. Well, for example, someone said to me the other day, should I be doing behind the scenes vlogs? And I was like, I don't know. Are you good at them? Like, are you Casey Neistat? If you are, yeah, you should. If you're not, then probably not. No. Same thing with merch. Are you into fashion? Are you going to build a brand design? Then yeah, you should. Are you not? No, they're probably not. There's other ways to make money. So when it comes to monetizing, this is about your skill, but it's also about testing what works. Because there's platforms like Patreon. If you say, well, I'm really good at making content, I'm really consistent, I'm really organized, and I can provide value. Or maybe you're the type of artist who brings up their phone and you go, I've got like 300 songs that I've recorded on my phone. Those are monetizable assets. So your job is to figure out where the money's at. There's a great quote in a book by Felix Dennis called How to Get Rich. And it just says, go where the money's at. Find the place on the treasure map where it says X marks the spot, the treasure is here. That's our job. Our job is always to say, hang on, where is the money? And that doesn't necessarily just mean the return on investment. It can also mean the audience. It can mean everything else. Where's the treasure? But when it comes to the money of you monetizing what you do, you have to figure that out and say, that's the easiest way. Now, is that going to be content creation? Is it going to be touring? Do you say, no, I could live on a tour bus. I could go touring 300 days a year. Then you should do that. Is it, can't be asked. I want to go tour. That's not my thing. But what I really want to do is I want to build a fashion brand around the music. Then you should do that. Now, I can already hear people go in, should be about the music. I should be able to monetize the music. And I totally agree. You should be able to monetize the music. You should get paid for your music. The problem is you don't. So therefore, it doesn't make any difference. You can be as angry with me as you want. It doesn't matter. What does matter is this is the best time to monetize everything else. So rather than getting bogged down in the one tiny detail that bands and artists used to be able to monetize, now there's other things that you can monetize. For example, did you know in the mid 90s, so like 30-ish years ago, the average ticket price across the US was $25. That was the average ticket price. In 2022, it was $115. Now, no one's angry about that. It used to be 25, now it's 115. What does that mean? It means, well, people will pay more money to go to tickets than they used to do. Now, I obviously understand that part of that is stadiums and arenas and other things, but it does go to show that people go to shows and people are prepared to pay money. Is your show good enough? Have you shown people that your show is good enough? And so there are ways of making money. Your job is to figure out what that looks like and then piece that together into a way that works for you to be consistent, but also works for your audience, for your fan base. If you can do that, there is plenty of money to be made. How does your advice / strategy change for different music genres?
Okay,
so
this is
every so
interesting.
often someone
I'm
will
kind of
ask,
intrigued.
it's different for me because I'm in a metal band, or it's different for me because I'm in EDM, or it's different for me because I'm
It's
in
really
hip-hop,
not,
or it's
though.
different for
It's
me
not really
because I'm a
different. It's the
rap
same
artist.
across all platforms.
Yeah, I guess. It's a small amount. The problem is you're using that as an excuse because that isn't actually true. If we're getting into a finite debate about whether you should release an EP or whether you should release an album, because in metal, people expect albums instead of expecting singles. And if you're in EDM, you should be able to release different remixes. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But the problem here is you're missing the 80%. Because no matter what genre you are in, you still have to be able to get the discovery. You still have to be able to build the value. You still have to have people that go, I know you.
Yep.
I like your stuff. It's really, really good. And then you still have to be able to convert those people to do the things that you want to do.
You still have to have the notoriety.
So is there different strategies?
And the visibility.
Yes, a small difference, if that helps.
All right, pause it right here. And that might have been the most perfect pause. Is there different strategies for different genres? Man, maybe, but by the vast majority of it, not really. Like you still, and like I think it's all the same. Like if we were to come out with a guidebook of general music best practices, it would work across any genre, because you still, like he said, you still have to have the notoriety, you still have to have the discovery, people still have to have that connection, whether you're a blues musician, hip hop musician, rapper, rocker, whatever it is, you still have to have all those things. And if you don't, then what are we doing here? What's the benefit? So the minute discussions of, well, I can't just release singles because we're in a metal band and they expect this every time. blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Releasing a single every other month is still better than releasing one album over the course of 10 years because you have to wait that long. That's just my perspective. That's just my thought. Agree, disagree, that's up to you. But in the grand scheme of things, it's all about consistency, it's all about discovery, and it's all about having the notoriety and connection with your fans and your supporters and your friends and your family. Because is it better to have at least a song out when you start? Is it better to have a song out or wait 4 years while you try and get the money together to do a full album because you're in a metal band and that's what people expect is, oh, you're a metal band, you have to release an album, you can't just do singles. To me, it'd be better to release, like, if we're going to stick on this of, oh, we're in a metal band and we got to put out an album, it's got to be 10 songs. Would it be better for you as a musician, as a band, as a group, to continually put out a song every 4 months and get to that album in 5 years, or in, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, or wait that 3 to 4 years and then put out the album? Because to me, it's all about that discovery. It's all about that connection. It's all about that frequency. Especially if you're going to be primarily focusing on Spotify. Or even, kind of putting yourself out there and wanting to release hard copies, I understand. But you could still do that later on down the road. There's still a very strong market for the traditional 3 singles and then the album. But for me, if it's the conversation of, hey, we've got a song recorded, but we really need to release an album, and it's going to take us 3 years, put that song out now. And then as you get the second song, put that out. As you get the third song, put that out. And then release the album. And then hopefully by that third song, fourth song, whatever it is, people start connecting. Oh, hey, these guys are awesome. I can't wait for that album or that full-length album or that EP or whatever. So, sorry, got a little rambly there. Here we go. Let's jump back into it.
But not enough to have an argument. I don't care whether you were in jazz. I don't care whether you're in metal.
He's probably going to just say the same shit that I just said.
I don't care whether you are in an Iranian rave group. I don't care. It makes no difference. What matters is you need to get attention on you, the artist.
Yep.
And that means you use the music to build you, the brand. I don't think anyone watching is saying, I tell you what, one single and I'm out. I just want to be a one-hit wonder. That's it. Whenever I talk to artists...
Well, geez, guys, I wish I would have just let this one play, and then I wouldn't have had to waste my breath.
Great. Well, what that is, that's an artist. That isn't a single that just happened to capture the imagination. This isn't Barbie Girl, where everyone, oh, yeah, remember that song Barbie Girl? Oh, do you remember the greatest hits? No, of course I don't remember the greatest hits, because that was the big hit that they had. That is more of a kind of one-hit wonder. Not that I want to do the injustice. That was an incredible song. But when it comes to the artist who is able to come back album after album after album and sell tour after tour after tour, then there's a reason for that. And so if you want that, then you have to build that. So you're able to strategize in different genres is only the 10%. Not the 90%. Your job is to get the discovery. It's to make sure that people are buying into you, the artist. So the example I usually use is most artists on their socials are thinking like Clark Kent instead of thinking like Superman. If I go to people's socials, I'm like, what do you want? They're like, I want to inspire people and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, well, I'm not seeing any of this. So what's happening right now is you are Superman. You have the superpowers. You can fly. You can zip around the galaxy. You can do all of this amazing stuff. You're stronger than any human being on Earth. You can shoot lasers out of your eyes. But for some reason, when I go to your Instagram page, you're walking around in a suit with glasses, with your hair slightly slicked, pretending to be Clark Kent. And nobody cares about Clark Kent. Nobody.
Fair.
No one goes, oh, Clark Kent, though. They're like, no, Superman, the superhero,
Fair.
the one that flies around the galaxy. That's the fun guy. That's the one we want. So don't be Clark Kent. Be Superman. In order to do that, one of your superpowers is your music. Another superpower is your talent, is your songwriting, is your voice. Is all of these things are your superpowers. We have to be using these things. So
Fair.
Does it really matter about the genre? I don't think it really matters about the genre. What I think it matters about is how are you going to use your superpowers to get in front of the audience that will care about you, and how do you take them with you over a period of time to build from 1 to 10 fans to 1,000 fans. You know, this idea of like, it's all about the 1,000 fans. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But do you know what's better than 1,000 fans? 1,000,000 fans. Like Coldplay aren't going, tell you what though, those 1,000 fans, they're going, what do you mean 1,000 fans? 1,000 fans in every town. Like, that's what we want.
Yeah.
We want the people who are going to love you now, and in 10 years time, you've got another 1,000 and another 1,000 and another 1,000. That doesn't, the strategy wise, that doesn't make a difference whatever genre you are in. Now, I love this question. What is the best piece of advice you can give an up and coming artist?
What
now,
a
the best
general-
piece of advice is to start with
What a
the
general
product,
question.
because product
What a
is
general
the
question.
best marketing tool you have. I get told off in the YouTube comments all of the time when people say, "Oh, it should be about the music, not about the marketing."
I get that
think
all
to
the
myself,
time.
Well, it is. It's like, of course it is. Like who says it isn't? I don't know any artist that goes, well, I'll churn
Preach.
out any old shit.
Keep
This
preaching.
is about the marketing. Churn out some naff crap because I want to get onto TikTok. No, of course not. But at the same point, we also have to acknowledge that if you don't do anything with the music, then probably nothing's going to happen. So this is more than just, I've written a great song. This is the whole package. But when it comes to the product itself, you are the product. You are the superhero, and your music is the superpower. So therefore, your superpower needs to be bloody good. It needs to be really, really good. Superman's superpower zips around the galaxy.
Keep
That's
going.
a bloody
Keep
good
speaking.
superpower. Same thing with your songs. Now, if you go back in the day, right, which was probably a Tuesday after lunch. Back in the day, artists would write 100 songs, maybe more,
funny.
and then after that, they'd have a meeting with the A&R to go through all of the songs, and then you say, right, which songs do we want to think about cutting? And then once they've done that, which songs that we've cut do we think is going to make it to the album? And then they go and do it all over again. So this product might happen again and again and again. Fast forward to now, people go, I wrote a song, I've recorded the song, I'm putting the song out. And in my head, I'm like, cool, that's ballsy. Like, we're not looking at how to make something perfect and then after that hone it down into the best version and then after that release it. We just go, nah, check it out, because we can. Now I understand why, because evolution has allowed us to, because now I can upload anything I want. I don't have to try and find someone to manufacture 1 million CDs and stick it on a truck and take it all around the country.
The consequences of uploading crap
Can't
are
afford to
so
do that.
minuscule
Whereas
right now.
now I can pay my $20, stick it on Spotify and go, well, I might as well stick it out. Now I understand that, and I really understand that when it comes to socials. But I also think, shouldn't we write 100 songs before we record something? Shouldn't we go and actually, go and do 100 gigs before we start trying to put a tour on and sell tickets? Shouldn't we try and do something which improves who you are and what you do one step at a time? Like, shouldn't we be doing things that improve you as an artist, your superpower, your music and everything else? Because what I'm seeing at the moment is effectively a modern day entitlement from a lot of artists saying, just take me as I am. Just use your imagination. And people saying, no, I've got millions and millions of choices all of the time. So you have to really connect with me. So who you are, what you wear, what props you wear, what you do, where you are, what you say, your voice, your lyrics, your subject matter, like everything matters, everything. You can't throw away anything. So therefore, we have to make it really, really good. The way you stick out, when people say, oh, I've probably missed the boat on TikTok. No. Literally over the last couple of weeks, I have worked with artists.
That is the
we've
most
got artists on our
misleading
books
thing
that we've
ever.
literally had
You
10,
have
20
not
million
missed
views on
out on
TikTok.
anything.
not massive
Just
artists
start.
that was just
Keep going.
automatically guaranteed it. Why? Well, because we know how to play the system. Like, we know how to wrap something up in a certain way. Instead of just going, use your imagination, take me as I am. No, it's our job to say, you don't understand. That's context. You don't understand who I am. You don't understand what this song is. So let me break it down in a way that you will buy into over a period of time, and do that again and again and again. So the best piece of advice I've got is, you've got to be really, really good. So therefore, go and write 100 songs with many different songwriters in order to become the best songwriter you can possibly be. Go and take as many courses in videography or color grading or the music industry or anything education that's going to take you one step above everything else. Because there are a million odd songs being uploaded every 2 minutes onto Spotify, and everyone's like, oh, it's too many songs. No, it's not. Most of them are terrible. That doesn't matter. And most of them aren't fitting in your genre. Your job is to stick out. There's millions and millions of different TikToks going out every single day. There's millions of pieces of content going out on Instagram every single day. Can you break through the noise? Yes, you can.
Okay.
You have to be better than them. You have to understand what it takes. If you can do that, you will rise above. And that's my life's work. My entire life's work is, when I was 18 years old, and I remember saying it, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes. The problem is, I don't know what that means. So you have to tell me, and I will go and do it. And no one could tell me.
Okay.
Everyone was like, you just got to be better.
Let's pause it right there, because, I kind of run on two trains of thoughts on this one, because, I do 100% believe in taking every shot you can. So if, releasing every music or every piece of music, putting every piece of content out that you have, all that stuff. I do believe there's validity in that. But do I think everything needs to go straight to Spotify? No, not at all. One thing that we saw a lot during the pandemic was people taking risks and shots that they weren't normally taking. I remember watching this one musician. She would release a brand new song every day, but she wasn't putting it out on Spotify. She was putting it up on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. And it was just something like this, where it's play guitar, piano, whatever it was, singing into a mic, super raw, super real. And she was just putting out songs. She was essentially practicing, getting feedback, getting comments, perfecting her craft as a musician. But she was still releasing music, just by the off chance that Blue Cup in a red Lamborghini or Blue Cup in a red Volvo, whatever it was, happened to catch on with a few people, that she had the song, and she's like, okay, let's focus in on this. And, so she was kind of meeting both masters of practicing and working on music and honing her craft while still taking as many shots as she could. Now I know in this, he's kind of talking about the benefit of taking a song and not just releasing it as soon as it's done, but looking at it and trying to make it the best version of itself. And I definitely think there's some validity in that. It's a interesting conversation to have. It's, a tough conversation to have, because I think every creative, every creator, every musician, every videographer, whatever it is, they just want to get it out so quick. I've definitely fallen into that trap where a podcast or a video or whatever wasn't quite ready, but because I was beholden to a timeline or an arbitrary due date, I would just continually put stuff out. And, was it the best content? Maybe, maybe not. But, I kind of get where he's going with this.
And I'm like, that's not
So
helpful.
let's jump back
I don't
into
know
it.
what that means. How do I just be better? Instead of saying, okay, here's how we're going to strategize. Here's how you are going to get better. Here's what I mean by getting better. The hook, the songwriting, the arrangement, the production, the artist, what you stand for, what you say, your social media, how you wrap it up, the 4-point SEO in your social media, how to be consistent. Like everything is a strategy and everything can be broken down if you understand it, and everything can be improved. Otherwise, you're back into, just be better. Just write me that hit record. Just go and be a better artist. It isn't good enough. So the way we do that is we have to break everything down into a million pieces, and we have to improve every little bit, just 1%, just tiny fractions every single day, so that in 1 year's time, you look back and go, wow, we're really motoring. Why? Because we improved a tiny bit at a time, and we're constantly looking how to better ourselves as an artist. Next question. Do you believe artists should sign to record labels?
Ooh, this is an interesting question. All right, pause it right here before he even says anything. We've definitely have had many conversations about this as Live and Amplified between myself and my co-owner, co-person, co-anchor, co-founder. There it is. That's the word I was looking for. With my co-founder, Jeff Cabana, we've had several conversations. And it's like we see the old school mentality of signing with a record label as a sign of, oh, we made it, or, oh, we're doing something with our music, or, oh, hey, we're going to start getting real gigs, or, whatever it was. It was a imaging play. It was a sign of stature. It's a sign of this. And that's because the music industry has done such a great job of marketing what it means and building that clout of signing a record deal. But let's ask this question. What does a record deal actually bring to the table nowadays? Because I could literally sit in my setup right now and produce almost 90% the exact same quality music as if I were to go into a studio. That's just where things are at. I can go get my own distribution. I don't need a record label to go get distribution. With the rise of Spotify, I can get my own Spotify playlist placements. I can get my own reviews. I can go get my own distribution if I really wanted it. I can go get radio play. I can do 99% of this myself. But for somebody that doesn't have the ability or doesn't have the know-how of how to figure out how to do all this stuff, or how to or doesn't want to do all this stuff, the record label or signing a record deal is probably a better play, because they're going to take all those things that you don't want to do and they're going to cover it for you. But at the end of the day, that's going to cost you. If, like, let's say you're in a band, the Purple People Eaters. Sorry, that's the first thing that popped into my head because the timeline on this thing just happens to be purple. So you're in a metal band called the Purple People Eaters, and you get a record deal, and you sign a deal for 3 records. The first one does okay. The second one goes super insane and triple platinum, whatever, diamond, crazy numbers. Third one does the exact same thing. Chances are, depending on what that record deal is, you're going to see like 10% of that money, because the record company, because they fronted it, are going to own the rights to your music. So I think there is an avenue of having benefit to a record deal, especially if you're a young person and just don't know the business and just don't have the know-how to learn the business, or don't want to learn the business side of things. You need to make sure you have a lawyer look over any contract you sign, make sure that you're not giving away the rights to your music, make sure you maintain those rights to your music. And I know that's a whole controversial conversation in general, but that's just me. That's my opinion. So now that I've kind of spoken my piece, let's hear what he has to say about signing a record deal.
Oh, I was waiting for this question. Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely,
Okay.
I do. And I just feel like there's so many artists that go, no, record labels, ugh. But it is not black and white. I work with a bunch of record labels. It is not black and white. Firstly, let me tell you,
Okay.
there are many, I'm not casting aspersions, and I'm not saying this is you. There are many, many artists out there who are absolutely incredible that should be signed to a label because they could not organize a piss up in a brewery. So therefore, it's the right thing for them to do.
Fair.
Now,
Okay.
you have other people who are completely entrepreneurial that will look at a record label and just go, why would I need that? That's not me. So everybody is different. And to say that you don't need a record label or that you shouldn't sign to a record label is a very naive way of looking at it. And in fact, most artists don't really understand the complexities of what a record label will do and the benefits of a record label.
Okay,
So,
he's about to make me look super
might
stupid.
invest $5,000 in you, and might invest $2 million in just promoting you as a brand spanking new artist. Because if you think about it, they got to do a radio tour, press, PR, playlist, loads of people. It's not just paying you for, paying for someone to go and put you on a playlist or paying to go and put you in the radio. It's all of the airplane tickets and the hotels and the people and the experience and there's so many moving parts. You can't just ring up all of the radio stations and go, I've got this new song, would you fancy sticking it on your playlist? No, of course not. It takes time and that takes money.
That's not 100%
but you
true,
might not be
but
that sort
okay.
of artist. You might be the type of artist that can lean into social media and just say, hang on a minute, I can make $50,000 a month, which is very doable if you're the right artist. I can make $50,000 a month because I understand how to get the attention on socials and then how I can utilize that attention, monetize the attention into different ways, whether that's touring on merch, that's stuff that we've talked about, touring, whether it's merch, whether it's Patreon, whether it's streaming from different places like YouTube or TikTok or Spotify or other streaming services. There's plenty of ways of making money. And there's plenty of artists that make 50, 60, 70 grand a month from doing what they do. Now, that might not be from Spotify, whilst everyone's up in arms about it. But if you're using Spotify as a catalyst and then you're making 50 grand as an artist, I think that's pretty good.
I definitely think that Spotify can be a catalyst.
$500,000, $1 million or £1 million a year
passive
from being
income,
an artist,
maybe not
because you
direct
understand
income.
the rest of it. Should those people sign to a record label? Probably not. Not unless that record label says, I can raise that $500,000 or $1 million. I think we can get this to 5 to 10 million, and you're going to struggle. There are many people, me included, right? Let me take you back in time. So I was 23 years old when I started the music college, BIM, with 3 of my friends. And we started this, and it started off the office was in my dining room with one member of staff. I was 23 years old. I was the youngest one. As the youngest member of the team, and we were building this music college. Now, fast forward to where it is now. It's got 8,500 students in it. In my head, I'm like, I never planned for any of that. That wasn't my skill set. My skill set was the beginning bit. So when it came to bringing in investment, bringing in money to go, now we need to inflate it, that wasn't my skill set. I'd love to have the ego to go, I did the whole thing. No, there's 4 of us, and we all had different skill sets. And then after that, there was an investment company, and they had to come in with a certain level of experience and money, and that's how it got to where it is now. So some people have different skill sets. I would say my skill set's definitely in the beginning, right at the beginning, the exciting. Let's make something exciting, and let's build a momentum. Now, to take that to the point where all of a sudden you're Taylor Swift and go, no, we have to expand this to take over the entire world, you probably do need a record label. Yeah. So it's naive to say that you shouldn't have one or you don't need one. The question is when and what are you going to get? And more importantly, if you are going to get a record deal or a record label, then what's in it for you and how do you not get fleeced?
Okay.
That's the most important bit, because that's where people get angry, because they go, oh, I did the record label and it didn't work for me and I'm really angry about it. Okay, well, is that your fault? Is that their fault? Did you sign up for something, or did you not deliver, or was it just unfortunate? Because let's face it, when
I mean, he's really not
Manchester
saying
United
anything
come
too
knocking on
different
the door,
than
it's very
what I
difficult
said,
to
but
say no. Even if you might be sat
he
in the
worded it a
reserves.
little bit
So
differently,
I just don't think it's as black and white. If you are an entrepreneur, then you probably don't need
He
one.
kind of gave
If
a
you're
hard,
not, and
I
you're
kind of gave a
talented artist
hard,
and you want
no,
to
you
bring
don't need
other
a
people
record
in to help you
label
with your
with
socials
some
and with
gray
other
areas.
aspects of your,
And he
your
just
promotion, then it's probably a good thing.
went
So
straight
let's
gray
not be
area.
down about record labels. Let's recognize them for
Okay,
what they
fair
are
enough, fair
in the
enough.
music industry. Next, what is the easiest way to blow up on socials?
Be authentic.
Question for
100%
you
be
right now,
authentic.
as you're watching this. Why do you want to blow up on socials? What's the reason? Like, I know that's a stupid question, but what do you want to blow up on socials for? I'm not saying why would you want to. I'm saying for what reason? What is the reason for blowing up? Because,
It is
I've been
definitely
in
not an easy
several
question to answer
meetings,
because
several record label
yeah.
meetings where I've said this, but going viral on socials is much, much easier than you think. In fact, I would say it's very, very easy. So I was with an artist and the team not so long back, and I used this as an example. I was like, we can go viral. It's easy. And the guy was like, great. And I was like, great. What we're going to do is we're going to walk down the street, right? I'm going to film, right? And when a car comes along, I'm going to push you in the road, right? You're going to get hit by a car, right? You're going to fly over the top. You're probably going to break your leg. But I promise you, I'll get the right angle of it. We'll stick your song over the top of it. I promise you, you are going to go viral. And he was like, I don't want to get hit by a car. And I was like, no, of course you don't want to get hit by a car. What you want to do is you want to spend 15 seconds walking down the street singing your song, and you want the entire world to just fall in love with you and idolize you. And that is unrealistic. If you want to go viral,
Very
do
fair.
viral shit. If you want to build a solid audience, then what we have to do is we have to play a different game. If you want to go viral, then, go and jump in the sea where there's a bunch of sharks and see what happens and get someone to film it and start screaming. You'll go viral. If you want to
You'll
build an
die, but you'll go
audience
viral.
in the right way, now it's a case of how do we utilize the algorithm on TikTok? How do we store the data in a track that we can use for later on? How do we use social media as part of the strategy for releasing music? For example, if you do well on a track on social media, how do you bounce that into the next single? How do you put your 4-part SEO into each piece of content? How do you make sure what you say, what you put on the screen, what you put in descriptions, what you put in the hashtag, how do you make sure all of this is delivered in a way that just pushes the watch time so that you're not in the 200 to 500 to 1,000 view prison? How do you get out of that so that you are in a base level number of 5, 10, 15, 20, 50,000 views every day, so at least you're getting new people to come and discover who you are and then build value? This is all strategies. This is the stuff that you need to be thinking and working on. If you just want to blow up on socials, then you probably need to go and do something crazy. So another
Something
example
stupid
is if you want
that's
to blow
gonna
up on
get you
socials
killed.
as an as a singer, then go and do covers in a different style. Go and sing, like if you're a hip hop artist, right? Go and do hip hop artists where you're taking Taylor Swift songs but do them in a hip hop way.
Okay, pause this. Because what he's saying is really interesting, and there's this country musician that I just recently ran across on I think it was Instagram. It was Instagram or YouTube, one of those two, and he did 90s hip hop covers in a country style. Like he basically countryfied 90s iconic 90s hip hop tracks, and it was really good. It was really cool. And, he's getting a lot of attention for it right now. And it was just kind of a really interesting thing to watch unfold. Sorry, I had to sidetrack there a little bit. Let's jump back into this.
Go and take, if you're a metal band that sound like Slipknot, go and record a Taylor Swift song or an Ed Sheeran song or a Mumford & Sons song in the style of your band, and people will go, have you seen this? This is amazing. They'll share it because it's remarkable, because it's different. Do you want to do that? No, probably not. You don't want to do that every single day, because then it belittles you as an artist. So
Fair
being
enough.
viral or going viral on TikTok or Instagram, not the hardest thing in the world. becoming known for something.
I mean, it
as
still
an
kind of
artist,
is,
that you
because you've
stand
still got to
for,
be a good
that's
musician
tough.
if you want to
And
do
that
stuff
is
like that. But
consistency, and it's strategies, and it's everything else. So decide why you want to go viral, because I don't give a shit about go. I mean, I'm posting on TikTok just like you guys. You know, if I go viral, whoop-de-doo, that's great. I'd love to. Brilliant. Is that my goal? No. Couldn't give a shit. What I want to do is I want every single artist in the entire world to go, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, that's the music industry guy. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah. If I need help with my release, I'll go to that guy. That's what I want. Now, there's many ways
Fair
to
enough.
do that. Does it need to be viral? It would be nice. Is it the key? Absolutely not. Where to start when you are overwhelmed on making daily content?
Okay,
Firstly,
this is actually a good question.
Let's not
I'm
worry
kind of
about
interested to
just making
see
daily content. But the first
what
thing
he
I'd
has to
say
say.
is, if you're trying to make daily content, which is going to promote your music, because we know that's the best way of doing it, if you're trying to make daily content every single day, that's so hard. That's so tough. It's
It
so
is.
tough. Because
I'm
every
in the
day,
middle
you know,
of this
it's like you
grind
wake up
right
and go,
now, and it's brutal.
what shall I post on socials today? Oh, this is really difficult. Let me think about it. And then your brain starts playing tricks and going, oh, what are you going to do? You haven't got time. You've got to do all this other stuff. And in the end, you take a selfie, stick it on and go, that didn't really work, did it? And then you get disillusioned and burnt out and everything else. It's just not the right way of doing it. Your best bet is to try and stay consistent by batching content, which I talk about quite a lot. Now, every time I make a video about batching content, people call me out on it and just go, oh, you're making it sound really, really easy. I think the reason why I think it is easy is because I don't overthink. And I think most artists, probably you,
Okay,
are an
let's.
overthinker. You're sitting there going, oh, I overthink lyrics, I overthink this, I overthink that. When I go out and shoot with an artist, I'm not overthinking. I'm literally, I know
I'm waiting for him to
time of
pause.
day. I know I'm outside because it's easier. I've got more space, I've got more options. I'm in Nashville, so therefore, on the whole, not so much now this time of year, but on the whole, for 3/4 of the year, you get lovely evenings, and it's nice and warm, and the golden hour about 6-7 o'clock is beautiful. So I'm like, that's all I need. Just give me that. So if I
All right, pause it right there. I was really waiting for him to kind of stop, but I want to pause it right there because he was touching on something that is very, very interesting about batch content, and it's when you're kind of thinking ahead and using like longer form content and cutting it up into shorter, it makes it a little bit easier to get consistent content out, because that's kind of where every social algorithm is. If you're releasing consistently daily, every couple of times a day, or whatever it is, it makes it a little bit, you start getting into the algorithm, into people's feed and all that stuff. That's a whole different conversation. But when you produce batch content where you take a long form video like this React video that we're doing, I'm probably going to take several different bits of some of the stuff I'm saying and cut it down into shorter videos to put it out on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Insta Reels, Facebook Reels, all that stuff. And it makes it easier than having to produce content every single day and having to rack your brain about, oh man, I got to get this content out. Oh, I'm going to just do a fucking selfie. It makes it easier if you do batch content and just, take from your longer form content and cut it down into shorter content. So let's jump back into
go
this.
outside, I go at the right time, and then after that, I just go to a street and I'll be like, right, we're just going to film you singing the song, sometimes walking towards me, sometimes walking backwards, sometimes you'll be sat down, I'll give you a guitar, sometimes you might sing it live, sometimes you might mime it, and I'm just going, and another one, and another one, and another one. And if I can, over the space of an hour, film 30, 40 pieces of content, of which maybe I'll use 10, right? Or maybe I'll use 7, right? Just 7 out of an hour. Because people.
That's why I like going to festivals and concerts.
Get 30 easy. But let's say we only
Because
use
you
7.
could get as much content as you want.
7, if you're posting 3 times a week, right? Well, that's 2 weeks for a start. If you get good pieces of content, you can regurgitate. It doesn't have to be the most... the newest piece of content every single day. You just go, no, that piece of content I did 2 weeks ago that worked really, really well. I'm going to post it again. Like, I don't know why this idea is cheating for most artists. They go, I've posted it. So post it again. It's TikTok.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's not like you're posting the song again on Spotify and going, shh, they'll never know. It's TikTok.
That's
80%
funny.
of the people
I
didn't
love
see it in
it.
the first place. So therefore, post something on Tuesday, and then 2 weeks later, post it again. So therefore, 7 pieces of content could potentially be 15 posts. Like, if with, and it could have, and not only could it be 15 posts, but it could be 21 posts, because you could take the text, which could be different on every single one. The description could be different on every single one. The story could be different on every single one. You could even chop it into, if you've got like verse and a chorus, you could go verse and then chorus and verse and chorus. Like, there's so many things that we could do, but we're not thinking like that because we're overthinking. Because we're going, no, I've made that piece of content.
100%.
That's done, it's finished. Can't touch it.
The biggest
It's like a
problem
book.
is
I
most
finished
people
it. It's like Harry
overthink the
Potter.
entire
Don't
process.
mess with it. No. You can mess with it. It's just TikTok. Honestly, it's just putting some stuff out. So the key here is don't overthink. That's the bit. I know it's tough when you're saying to an artist, don't overthink, and they're like, I overthink everything. That's why I'm an artist. But if you can just go, look, this is just TikTok. I'm going to go out at the right time of day. I'm going to dress in a way that befits an artist. I'm going to take a guitar, and then after that, I'm going to sit on a wall. I'm going to lean on a gate. I'm going to sit on some railroad tracks. I'm going to walk down the street. I'm going to do that times by 20 times. I'm going to pick up the best bits, and then from there, I'm going to use those. I'm going to put them all into a Dropbox or all into a file. 2 weeks later, I'll go and do it again. I'll put those in the file. 2 weeks later, I'll do it again. I'll put them in the file. All of a sudden, you build up 100, 200, 300 pieces of content, and every so often you go, oh, that worked really well. I'm going to bring that one back. I'm going to put that one out. And you go away on holiday for 2 weeks. You just go, sorry, I've got 300 pieces of content in here that we've done over the last 6 months. So stop thinking that every single day you've got to recreate the wheel, reinvent the wheel, do something that's never been done before. It's not about that. This is very, very simple. This is about going on TikTok, researching ideas and going, oh, that's a good idea. I like that. I'm just going to recreate that. And having that as one of the ideas that you create when you're batching content. It's as simple as that. So don't overthink it.
Yep. Agreed.
If you managed an artist, how often would you release
What a
music?
question.
Great question. And again, another question that is not quite as black and white, because
It's not cut and
the
dry,
answer
for
would
sure.
be I would release
Definitely
music as
not cut and
often as
dry.
I could. I live in Nashville. There's a lot of artists that we deal with in Nashville in the country music scene. You wouldn't believe how slow country music is in Nashville compared to where I'm from in the UK or in pop or
Really?
in rock. It's like, let's make stuff.
How
Let's get it
quickly
out,
they
let's
can
do stuff.
turn out
It's
music?
pace. When it comes to country music, you can be pushing something for 8 months before it even starts to think about going in the charts. It's really, really slow.
Really?
So
Interesting.
the answer to me would be, I would be putting out music as fast as I could, especially if this is an up-and-coming artist, because I'm not here trying to chart a song. I'm not here trying to get the label to come on board. What I'm here to do is I'm trying to build an audience. And if those two things happen whilst I'm doing it, whilst I'm trying to build the artist, if a label goes, this is working, I want to be a part of it, we'll take the meeting. If the audience is there and we can monetize, and at which point we go and, do you know what, put the album out, because we can get a lot more traction with an album, then we'll make that decision. But I tell you what I would do, because it's not quite as simple as how often. I like routine. I think more on the whole is a good thing, as long as the songs are really, really good. More is a good thing because you get to test. So I think it's more about how would I put out music. And I tell you what I would do. I would use socials. In fact, we do this a lot. We use socials to bounce ideas from. So, back in the day, back on that Tuesday afternoon, what would happen is you, the artist, would work with the A&R and the label and say, right, what song shall we release first? Now, the reason why we need to know this is because someone has to be responsible for taking it and manufacturing hundreds of thousands of CDs and then distributing them all over the country, if not all over the world. So you have to make that decision because at the end of the day, that's
it's
the
an
track
important
that's gonna be going
distinction
out.
and decision.
Well, it doesn't work like that anymore. It's really simple. I can be working with an artist and we can go, we've got 3 or 4 new songs. Okay, well, none of them are on Spotify. Well, why don't we test? So what we do is we start making a little bit of content around some of these tracks. And if one of them really starts to go, you're like, that's the one we're going to lead with. Why? Because that's the one that people like. So we have one artist we're working at the moment who's literally getting told off on a daily basis because the label isn't quite ready to put the single out, and we're pushing it, going, hey, here's the song again. And people are like, would you just release it already? Because I really want the song. And I'm like, what a great problem to have. People are angry that they've heard the song enough times on socials that they can't have it yet. And obviously the artist is like, we need to get it out. And I'm like, I know, but isn't it great? As opposed to, tumbleweeds
such an
going past where you
interesting
just go, no one cares.
dilemma.
So I would test. That's what I would do. I would make different content using different tracks to figure out what works. And then when one of them starts to go, it's like that's the one. Why? Because that's where the data is. The data's telling us. Like, success leaves clues. If we put 3 songs out or 4 songs out on TikTok, we haven't released anything. This hasn't gone to radio. This isn't in the charts. This isn't gone out on CD or vinyl. This is literally, I put a 15-second piece of content out on TikTok and Reels and Facebook and YouTube Shorts. Let's see what happens. And we do that a couple of times, and then you start to figure out what's working and what isn't, and that's how we'd figure it out. So that's the first thing where I would be looking at how to test. The second thing is I would release things for different reasons. So one thing I always say is, when people are like talking about albums, and an artist will say, well, but I want to release an album. Artists will tell me 10 reasons why I'm wrong about releasing albums, which is basically them just saying, but I want to release an album. So I just go, well, do what you want. It doesn't matter to me. Like, release an album. I don't care. Like, how's it going for you? Great. The problem is when you put an album out, you're going, ta-da, and there's like 10, 12 songs on it. You don't get to go, ta-da, again. Ta-da. That's the problem. But with a single, you do. You got 10 versions. You got ta-da, ta-da again.
You got 10 attempts
again.
at...
You can keep that spinning. You can keep it rolling. So it works really, really well. Now, if you want to release an album, go for your life. Makes no difference. But what I would do is I would use singles for discovery, and I would use albums for monetization. You get the singles to build your...
I've been preaching this for so long.
Get the momentum going. And then when you've got enough people who are in Spotify, enough people who are in your socials...
I'm going to just let this guy talk because I don't got to talk.
Audience. They are here. They want more of this. At that point, now I go, well, hang on. If I drop 10 songs and these people start listening, now I can start making some money. Because as much as we diss Spotify and it doesn't make us any money. Well, if you look at all of the DSPs all over the world, if you start getting, a couple of million streams on a song times by 10 every single month, you start making some decent money. So let's not pretend that it's insignificant. But I would release singles for the discovery. I would release albums for the monetization. So everything is a strategy. But I think the problem here is no one has any patience. Everyone goes, yeah, but I've got the album, so I want to drop it. So you go, good. All right, well, you can do that. The problem you've got when you do that is you are losing out on the opportunity to say, and another one, and another one, and another one, and pitch to another playlist, and pitch to another playlist, because it's already there. So for me, I would do that, and I would start to drop them into socials to see what's working. And
pause before he jumps into this next question, because this looks like a interesting question that's going to kind of... My response to a lot of this is going to kind of lead into this next question. So I 100% agree, and I've been saying it for a very long time, that there is a way to use Spotify to promote albums without jeopardizing your income. And it's kind of in the same vein of what he's been saying. Use your singles for discovery, put them up on Spotify, get on your Spotify playlist, put it out on social, get the attention going for the album with singles. Because if the first single don't hit, you got a second, you got a third, you got a fourth, whatever it is. You can keep releasing singles until something starts to hit, and then you can take the album and use it to make your money. Because once people are starting to pay attention to what you got, you don't necessarily have to take the freaking album and put it on Spotify. You can take it, put it on your website, put it behind a paywall, $10 for the album, for the digital copy. They download it, they buy it, cool. Or if you're a touring musician, you can take the album and promote the fuck out of it. And, you're playing in front of a different crowd every night. Take the album, sell it at your shows. They've got the singles that, if they're coming to your show, they've obviously found you on Spotify because they hear your singles. But then you go to a show and it's like, oh, hey, you want to listen to my album? I've got hard copies. There's music on there that you're not going to hear it on Spotify because I'm not putting them on Spotify. And it's a win-win. Win-win-win. Because you're making the money from Spotify or the digital streaming platforms. People are finding you there. They're listening there. You're making money. Cool. They love you so much that they notice, oh, hey, I live in Butte, Montana. You're coming to Butte, Montana in January. Great. I'm buying my tickets. Double win. Great. Cool. Come to the show. Oh, I'm enjoying the show. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, in the middle of the show, anybody that wants to buy my album, they're out front there. Got music that you heard tonight you will never hear on Spotify. Triple win. Because they listened to your music on Spotify. They came to your show to check it out. Because they love you so much, guess what? They're going to buy the freaking album. So you win 3 times, brother. What's wrong with this? And it's not boycotting Spotify. You know, you're using Spotify as your discovery platform. You know, they come on Spotify, you get on a recommended playlist or whatever because they love country music, and you opened for Lainey Wilson 2 years ago before she was anything, and she was an up-and-coming artist or whatever, and you just happened to be on the same show as her, and because they listened to Lainey Wilson, you came up on their recommended playlist. Cool. You know, it's all about taking as many shots as possible and using everything at your disposal. So you don't have to boycott Spotify. You don't have to disown Spotify. Yes, you can be mad that their profit sharing isn't what it should be. Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? There's a way to have your cake and eat it too. And it's discovery through Spotify, shows, playing shows consistently, and going around and not just staying in one area. And guess what? Having exclusive content for people when they're just at those shows. You win 3 times, brother. Let's go. Let's jump back into this.
Believe artists should boycott Spotify. So I made a video a couple of weeks back about just the updates to Spotify. And as usual, you know, I don't like making those style videos. The problem is with YouTube is they do work. You know, people want to watch those videos. And so then I get loads of comments being like, we should all boycott Spotify. What do you think, Damo? Should we boycott Spotify? And I'm like, that's a stupid idea. Let's not do that. Like, Spotify is the best thing that has happened to the music industry and artists since Napster. Because,
oh man, Napster, what a throwback.
Let me define why, okay? Because
let's hear this.
Back in the day, when you used to have to manufacture CDs, you couldn't do that without a record label. When you go, I could. I'd make my own CDs. No. You could make 500 CDs and you could put them under your bed once you've sold 12 of them. We've all been there. We all did it. Maybe you sell 1,000 CDs. Great. I'm sure Coldplay's quaking in their boots. It's a very different thing now. And so when you used to be able to sell a CD for whatever, $16, $18, 16 quid, great, fantastic. The problem is after about a month or 2 months or 3 months, there was only a certain amount of space in a record shop, and then your record would go. So therefore, we're always thinking about, you know, Pink Floyd or the Beatles, those legacy artists, Michael Jackson, artists that are going to be whenever you go into a music shop, they are going to be there because they are going to always sell again and again and again. But on the whole, new artists, unless they become a legacy artist, they make way. They go out and the next batch comes in and then they go, I haven't got any space, but we've got more CDs coming in. All right, we'll get rid of those ones and the next batch comes in. Once they're gone, you don't get to sell your CDs because they've gone. Now, when it comes to Spotify, yes, you get a fraction of a dollar, for example, for the sake of someone listening. But what you have got is the entire world possibly being able to find you, being able to listen to you. So I don't have to buy a CD to listen to the track. I can go, no, I fancy listening to you today. So therefore, the discovery is absolutely massive. Now, the problem here is if you're thinking of Spotify as the monetization, well, that's your problem. That's a stupid thing to think about. Spotify is not about the monetization. Spotify is amazing for discovery. Spotify is amazing to help.
The real question needs to be is how do you get that discovery?
Because for so many ways, but it's not just the monetization. But as we discussed earlier on, there's millions of ways of making money. There's loads of ways of making money as an artist. And Spotify is an outcome. Now, what I mean by that is if you are building your audience hopefully they'll go to Spotify, and you can start to build the numbers up, and that is rewarding and looking after your audience because they're enjoying your music and they want more of it, and it's just there, whether it's Spotify. I use Spotify as an example, or Tidal or Deezer or any of these other places. You go to Spotify and the rest of them to listen to music. So should we boycott it? No, because if you boycott it, what are you going to do? Like, oh, do you know what? Yes, boycott it. If you're the size of Universal and you've got that much money, then yeah, sod it. Who cares? But the problem here is when you look at the alternatives, and everyone's always throwing these alternatives, and I'm like, it depends. It depends what pool you want to play in. You know, are we trying to build a real defining audience on Instagram and TikTok of millions? Are we trying to do something where you can make 50 grand a month? Because if you are, you know, I'm not talking about scrape by and go, I won because I got a bigger royalty check from you know, Bandcamp or somewhere else, or I sold CDs on my website and I made an extra $200 this month and I won't make anything again for the rest of the year. Then yeah, well done, you won. The problem with that is it depends what pool you want to play in. And for me, what I want to do is I want you to be an artist that has a brand that can monetize in many different ways, and because there are many different ways, and Spotify and all the rest of the platforms are there to support you as an artist. You're not there to put your music on Spotify and just make money. So I don't like it when I know I'm guilty of this myself, when we have this big Spotify bashing, because Spotify is the best thing we've got right now. And whilst everyone's going, oh, boycott Spotify, if Spotify goes under right now, as do all of the rest of the DSPs, and everyone goes, I guess I'll just start listening to those 3 albums that I used to. I mean, when I was growing up, right, my dad had 3 CDs in the car, right? Maybe 4. He had the Eagles, Greatest Hits. He had Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. He had Queen Greatest Hits 1 and Queen Greatest Hits 2. That was it. That's what I listened to for my entire childhood, from when I was like 6 to when I was about 14. It was 4 CDs that, cassettes. It was 4 CDs that he had. That was it.
Yep.
That was it. Now he can listen to anything in the entire world. So let's stop thinking that Spotify is ultimately evil. Spotify is helping you, the artist, because do you know what? This morning I woke up, I had 3 people who
What
sent
is
me
the other
links.
option?
3 people went, check out my new single. I was like, yeah, great, no worries. And I was doing some work.
Do you want to go back to shucking your CDs?
Because I can.
At the drive-in?
It wasn't like send me
like
the
they
MP3.
used to do?
It's going to clog up my email. No, don't do that. No, just send me the link. Oh, there it is. It's on Spotify. Great. I'm now listening to it. Oh, cool. Now I'm going to your Instagram. Now I can give you a bit of advice. Great. All job done. Nice and easy. It's incredible. It's amazing. Imagine if this was 30 years ago and you're like, do you want to listen to my new song? And I go, yeah, hang on a minute. Let me get on the bus and go to town and buy the CD. I'm not going to do it. So it is amazing. We just have to utilize it for what it is. And if you think that is the be-all and end-all of the music industry, then I think that's your problem. I think if it's used as an outcome for people to be able to listen to your music and discover you and then build up your fan base in order for us to monetize, now it's bloody brilliant. It's amazing. It's great. So let's not boycott Spotify, because if you pull your music off Spotify, even if thousands of us do it, and unless Universal, Warner, and Sony do it, then they're not really going to care that much. Let's face it. There's a million tracks going on every week or whatever it is. So So no, I don't think we should boycott Spotify. Yes, we should try and put pressure on Spotify to try and, you know, push the money up. And no, I don't like it when Spotify say they're going to reduce payments. I think that's terrible, because, you know, I like to see you guys getting some rewards, because I think it gives you the excitement to carry on.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
But is that a be-all and end-all? No. This is an outcome. This is one outcome, and if you can go and earn money from all of the other things, like going on tour and all of the things that we talk about, then this is a good thing. Are there better things? There will be in the future. I'm sure there's going to be amazing things. But right now, for what we have out there, you pull your music off Spotify, it will be harder for you. And we are selfish people. And I'm thinking about me, and you're thinking about you. And I'm thinking about how people can find you and your music. Don't make it harder for the consumers for the sake of your ego and $3. Okay. Great. So,
fair.
You know what I'd really like? Just if you got this far in the video, I know this is I'm testing a new type of content, long form.
It's a good video.
Just let me know in the
very
comments
engaging.
below. Is this something you'd like me to do more of? Just a slightly unedited, a bit more kind of fireside chat. I was on a plane last night and I watched an hour-long sort of podcast. I was like, I just fancy doing something which is just a bit less It's just a bit
Fair.
less choppy and a bit more open. So if you can just do me a favor in the comments, just let me know what you think.
There's
and then
very
maybe I'll do
little
some more.
editing
Otherwise,
on this.
good luck. Anything you need, obviously, give me a shout, and I will catch you again soon.
Awesome. Well, that was a bit of a longer video than we normally do, and a lot of pausing, a lot of giving my feedback, and really reacting. I know that that's kind of been a common critique of some of the videos that we've done, that they're not really reactionary, not really reacting to anything other than just like more watch along style. And so when I saw this video, originally I was a little apprehensive about doing a 55-minute react video because I knew it was going to be something that I had to stop, whatnot, and add my feedback on. And it was going to end up being, I think we're going to probably be about an hour 40 something like that. And that's a little scary, but I think this video was really interesting. We kind of broke away from the Christmas stuff that I was originally doing, or that we did last week. But yeah, this video was cool. I definitely agree with 96% of the stuff that he was saying. He was saying stuff a little bit different than I was, but I think at the end of the day, we're kind of in the same ballpark. And any real disagreements that we'd have on anything are such minutia things, it really doesn't matter. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have something else you'd like me to react to, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave your suggestions in the comment thread below. If you made it this far into the video, congratulations. You are a freaking warrior. And yeah, let's have a great day, great week, great fun. Hope you all are having a good morning, afternoon, wherever you are, whatever it is, wherever you are. And we will see you all next week.